Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Can't say that I thought they'd go into Cleveland shorthanded. You see the news, no Tobias Harris. You already know what they're dealing with from a Joel Embiid level, from a DeAnthony Melton level, from a Nick Batum level. So in what world will the red-hot Cleveland Cavaliers fall apart to Kelly Oubre and, Buddy Hield? And that's exactly what happened. Buddy Hield was on fire. Those shots at the end, oh my God, Struce, in your fucking face, right? Now, Kelly Oubre jacks one up with about 18, 17 seconds left on the shot clock. A perfect example of, please no, oh, what a big bull sack on that guy, right? That was the reaction all around the Delaware Valley, as it should have been. There's no way that Nick Nurse was happy until he saw the final result there. But some awesome plays down the stretch, seriously. Paul Reed with a monster block. And how about Council with some free throws? Let's not diminish the end game there. And, you know, you're fouling, you're taking timeouts. It was dragging on for me a little bit. But you have someone like Council who has had his name flirt around the storylines a little bit as of late, making the most of this opportunity. And that's why normally whenever there's a couple games left before break and you have your entire roster together, someone like Joel, I'm sure he's excited, although he plays in the All-Star game, but just in regards to, you know, the toxic NBA schedule, fly into different cities every night, you could look ahead and just be excited for a little bit of a break of the norm, right? Even if you are a part of such a big NBA All-Star weekend or so. So, you know, you can have a weird and funky little 2-game stretch prior to a break is my point. But when you have these players who are excited for the time, excited to play those minutes, well, then it's a whole out-of-the-ordinary experience for those guys, and they have to maximize every moment because you never know when you're going to get a window of time again like this to show your worth. So that's why I think, you know, they play with that different energy. They play with that different style. Go balls to the wall because you are limited with this time. Go make something of it. And there are some guys who are, you know, there's guys who are stepping up when, let's say, Maxey's not necessarily shooting the ball very well. Who can? And Buddy Hield steps in there, and he's been facilitating too. My man finished with 8 assists, so it's fantastic. And you're seeing Nick Nurse sort of incorporate something. Let's put the ball in his hands. Let's see what he can do. I thought he'd shoot the ball a lot. I thought he'd be a high-volume shooter. He'll be very active, and you could tell that he's got a professional release, something we're not accustomed to here in Philadelphia, from outside the perimeter, someone who could actually knock it down with some confidence, with some poise, some patience too when needed, and teams are afraid. He is a serious weapon and a legit threat, and man, it is entertaining as hell. But there's this different element, and I'll put my hands up saying I didn't expect him to be able to facilitate and rack up some assist numbers the way that I'm seeing it play out, but it's magnificent. And with Oubre, sure, it comes with the ups and the downs, right? For 41 minutes and no turnovers and that last shot with a couple seconds into the shot clock and all, for all of those times, there is the, oh my goodness, you're banging your head against the wall because Kelly Oubre is bothering the hell out of you. There is this, though, and this was a very good version of Kelly Oubre. 41 minutes, he was very all around there, all right? He was logging in a ton of time, and good for him. This team really needed it. I think it can bolster up the confidence, and I think it's important, though, to beat the Miami Heat in this final game coming up on Wednesday night because that can really set the tone into this little backstretch post All-Star break. I think you need to build off this, because if you have a big letdown, a big flop, if you're playing as poorly as you did against the Brooklyn Nets at home, and you see that on Wednesday night, well, then this really doesn't mean anything. My point is, we have to make this win count. We need to see them actually do something with it, and once we get Kyle Lowry in the mix, it'll be another added piece, which is nice, which sort of leads me into another conversation about the the trade deadline acquisitions and all. And it's a few days removed now, and if you missed it, my initial reaction was this. They did a little bit of everything, and I hate that because I like there to be a clear plan, a clear message. I saw them improve a little because there's no denying that Kyle Lowry, Buddy Hield campaign is a solid upgrade. But they were also worried about the financial part, releasing Daniel House. That's not a big difference maker on what the end goal is here in Philly this season if you are able to get Joel Embiid to return. But it's more just about the optics. It's more just about the message and what it's saying to everybody who practices at the Camden facility every single damn day. So you're worried about the finances there and the luxury tax, and then also you're building up assets to go make a splash for a veteran at next year's trade deadline by giving up a young, interesting prospect in Jaden Springer. And the press conference by Daryl Morey was hilarious. I wish I grabbed the audio cut. It just came to my mind now, but it's too late for it. I'm not doing it because, yeah, we think that Jaden Springer could be good. We think it doesn't really match up with our timeline here. I know. That's the problem is Joel Embiid's timeline is significantly different than Tyrese Maxey's timeline, which I think was actually closer to Jaden Springer's timeline. But you're all out of whack, and you have to try and maximize this the best you can because Joel Embiid's the best player on the planet. This is still what you do. I agree with pushing forward and literally going all in and all after it. I do think that's probably your best way, even though your two biggest stars are on two completely different timelines. You got to keep going. You got to keep swinging. You got to keep giving it your all. I understand, but think about that. You're worried about trading for a veteran at next year's deadline. You're worried about the luxury tax, so you're looking at the financial part of your books, and you're also improving now. And some may say, what's wrong with that? Isn't that a good president of basketball operations? It's a little murky. I think it's a little cloudy. I think it's a little all over the place, and you're doing a ton. Now, maybe I was just reacting negatively, and this is me just speaking out loud. I'm working through therapy right now. Maybe I didn't like it because I was holding a grudge, and holding a grudge with really nobody other than the basketball gods, because I was so disgusted and upset that we were dealing with another Joel Embiid injury that nothing would really satisfy me. Maybe that was the case. Now, something I remember saying would satisfy me is forget about the luxury tax stuff. Forget about getting rid of Jaden Springer because that one just bothered me. Not so much because I think Jaden Springer is an electric all-star down the road, but it's just, are you really maximizing your value by getting a second-round pick, which you could find I don't know, trash along the highway? You walk around the highway on the side of the road, you'd find plastic bags, tasty cake wrappers, coffee cups, McDonald's bags, you name it. You'll find everything. Okay, you can get second-round picks all around the league by just picking up the phone and saying, yo, let's make something happen. So you give up an intriguing prospect who's coming off of arguably his best two defensive performances for a second-round pick that you could find anywhere. I just don't love that, right? You see, I'm starting to get a little bit angry about it again. It makes no sense to me, but, if they we're getting better all around, and it's Buddy Hield, it's Kyle Lowry, it's a big to put in there, and it's clear that they are trying to improve just to hold the fort down, and that's all we saw. I think I like it more. Now, maybe I'm being unfair, maybe I'm not giving Daryl Morey enough credit for sort of looking at every single angle to this team right now, and it's very possible, and I'm sort of convincing myself that I am being unfair. So I'm just speaking out loud with you, being open and honest. You know, I had to take a few days ago. I'm not just going to dig my feet in the ground and say I'm never moving off of it. Yeah, I'm starting to see it a bit differently now, and I think really the rawness of me was about how angry I am with the Joel Embiid thing, just because, man, imagine if you do have Lowry, Campaign, Buddy Hield, and a healthy Joel Embiid. My biggest fear is just, what are the odds that all of this clicks in maybe a week of Joel Embiid returning, if he even returns with some regular season basketball left? In what universe will they just automatically have the groove, automatically play perfect basketball when trying to figure out how to play with one another is number one, Joel Embiid's health number two, and Joel Embiid's stamina number three? The second Joel Embiid returns, you have to really adapt your entire offense. You play differently there. He anchors your defense, so you play differently there. You're playing a completely different style, and none of these new faces have been able to even get a grasp of what it's like with him. And then, hey, by the way, here's the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So, as you can see, now I'm reflecting on the negative side of this too. But they did get better. They got better. And we'll see what Kyle Lowry brings. Cool story for him to return home and get an opportunity. And the video that he put out was pretty awesome too. So, you know, we'll see. It was a big win last night in Cleveland, though. That matters. And how about KJ Martin? I laugh at the lineup. It was a pretty busy night for me on Monday night. I did the whole 3 TVs. I told the wife, hey, look, you know, not many times lately have I had to go in the basement for work. Sometimes we'll watch together in the family room, or I'll put it on my iPad so I can still watch the games and whatnot. But last night was an automatic, I need 3. You had the Fly Guys in Arizona. And Arizona, not in Arizona, and Arizona. You had the Sixers in Cleveland, and you had a little Beanpot Championship, a little college hockey, Northeastern, Boston University. I would have missed that for the world. Northeastern with an overtime Beanpot champion. Oh, man, what an unbelievable experience last night was. But when you see KJ Martin, no Tobias Harris, what's KJ Martin got to do? KJ Martin's not going to miss a fucking shot all night. My man goes 5 of 5 from the field. KJ Martin. You know, sometimes I just laugh. In what world is this really what we're watching? One take I'm not necessarily in love with is, look at how great they are without Tobias Harris, who slows everything down so much and is miserable, and he hasn't looked right, all right? I mean, he has not looked right. I don't know if this illness is something that's really been lingering for a while now, or it comes and goes, and then I believe it was hip is what he's dealing with as of late. So he doesn't look like the best version of Tobias Harris. You may argue the best version of Tobias Harris doesn't tickle your fancy, but I disagree. The best version of Tobias Harris is an insane level of help. It is incredibly important to this team, and because you win one regular season game on the road when maybe the red-hot Cleveland Cavs were due for a loss. How many times during the Doc Rivers era or the Brett Brown era you saw a team come to your building, they were diminished? It was basically the Band-Aid version of that team. The Sixers were riding a high. They won 7 or 8 games, and then that team just plays with some spunk. All right, they play with this pesty attitude. They're annoying. They get offensive rebounds. They make shots where you shake your head. That doesn't fall on a night-to-night basis. That doesn't fall if he takes that shot 9 more times. He's missing the next 9. You just shake your head and shrug your shoulder. What do you want me to do? Right? Sometimes that night is just there, and maybe the Cavs were looking ahead. All I'm saying is it's not enough of a big sample size for me to now all of a sudden say the Sixers and Tobias Harris, like he doesn't help this team. He does help this team. Believe it or not, he does help this team. This narrative, too, that I constantly hear, well, when is Tobias ever going to show up in the playoffs? Are you guys delusional? Do you remember the playoffs? I feel like with time, you just completely forget. Tobias Harris has been one of your stronger candidates throughout the postseason play. Defensively, his size, playing against Jason Tatum, I love that perspective from him, too. He's been very solid for you, a very good pros pro in the playoffs, and I think it is a little bit too aggressive at times with him. Now all of a sudden the Sixers are so held back because of him. There's definitely areas to nitpick. And yeah, I mean, there are times where he likes to utilize his body, slow down the pace, see if he can get a leverage going, maybe a couple feet from the basket. And he does need to work on actually finishing around the rim. Nothing bothers me more than the 4-foot bunny from Tobias that clanks off the iron and then he misses. And now we're seeing the other team grab the ball, maybe push pace a little bit. He definitely needs to clean up that area. But there's also multiple examples of when it is strong for this team to rely on Tobias to maximize his skill set, his strength, his size against another team's opponent. It just goes overboard is my point. And let me see 30 games without Tobias to claim with this unit. I'm not talking long term about what that money means to you and if you get him off the books, how you're able to look at different assets and make your bench deeper and all that. Of course. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the right now when you look at some of these bench pieces as options to play long minutes. I won't come to that conclusion because of one game against Cleveland on the road. Let me see that over 40 games for me to really state that it's meaningful. And by the way, let me see it then in the playoffs because Tobias has been an important piece to some of these playoff runs, albeit some of them came up small, but that's because James Harden and Joel Embiid came up small in Game 7, and DeAnthony Melton missed wide open looks in Game 6. I keep reliving that lately. That keeps hitting my heartstrings more than most is how they failed hitting those wide open jumpers that was dialed up, and it was there, okay? Your team had it at home to close out the Boston Celtics, and they couldn't deliver. That's a damn problem. Who delivers every time? Well, that's simple. It's my friends over at HelloFresh. Now, what is HelloFresh? HelloFresh is pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes that get delivered right to your doorstep. So you skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. My wife and I have been using this for a while now, and dude, I don't have to go grocery shopping. I go online. The website has over 40-plus recipes to choose from every week, so we don't get stuck into this dinner time recipe rut. And you can't screw anything up because the way it gets dropped off is everything's pre-portioned to the T. So you don't have to measure anything out. Oh, I put too much water in, or oh, I put too much flour. No. You don't have to worry about it. Everything is right there. You just open up the bag, you pour it in, bada bing, bada boom, and you do your thing. And now you're eating something different on a night-to-night basis. You're getting out of your comfort zone of getting stuck with just the traditional recipes you eat every week. Well, we had tacos last week. We had chicken last week. We had pasta last week. It's the same thing over and over again, the same style of that. Well, then now you get a whole new, fresh perspective on what you can make each night, and it's amazing, and it's so affordable. And the best part is HelloFresh is giving you free breakfast for life. Yeah, you heard me correctly. When you sign up with code BRODESFREE, you are getting free breakfast for life while your subscription is active. So take a listen here. You go to HelloFresh.com/BrodesFree and use code BRODESFREE for free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/BrodesFree with codes BRODESFREE. That's why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Okay, let's take some calls, shall we? Let's take a listen, shall we, to the people. That's what we like to do around here.
Bros, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I just saw Buddy Hield's press opener. I know that was yesterday, but I do have to say, I was on the podcast the other day with the Sixers. When we do a Sixers show, please use this because there's what you wanted to find out. He said, and I quote, "I've been hearing this for a long time." So that tells me during that Ben Simmons thing, there was 75% done is exactly what they said. And he said, yes, it's been 75% done for a long time. So whatever they were trying to do, wouldn't that be so nice if we had Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield? I mean, careers plan out differently, but that was what you wanted to hear. It's proof. It's proof. And Daryl Morey just went with his guy. See you, bros.
Okay, so a little background on that phone call. I've been definitely debating with the people lately about the Tyrese Halliburton thing, and I didn't know if it was confirmed that was ever legitimately on the table or not, and I still can't confirm that just because of whatever Buddy Hield said when he first arrived to town and whatnot. The Buddy Hield rumors have been active for, years and years and years and years and years in many different variations. So, we're talking a while now of a lot of different speculation trades, so it doesn't stem back to just one specific. It's been very active for a while, and I think that's pretty well known. But I was working on the radio, and my producer at the time, J-Mo, brought it up that he believes in Yahoo Sports. It was actually mentioned that Daryl Morey declined a specific trade. I didn't see it personally. I'm not saying J-Mo's wrong. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I'm being honest. I just don't remember seeing that. I also don't know if I can absolutely 1,000% agree that everything reported is legitimate, because I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm not saying that Yahoo Sports Fisher did a horrendous job. He's actually very respected. I'm thinking more along the lines of, was this a leverage play by Daryl Morey to make it seem like he's declining a Tyrese Halliburton trade that might not be as intense as it seems to the public eye, to try and get James Harden here? We're not taking Halliburton, even though Halliburton might not even actually be on the table as much as it's perceived. I'm not taking that. I'm going after a James Harden, using that as sort of a public perception play. I'm just speculating because I do know how this goes behind the scenes. But regardless, okay, this Tyrese Halliburton thing interests me a lot because And the reason I got into such a hostile fight about it at the end of my show on Saturday night was because I was doing a crossover. Jolly was taking over Saturday after me, and he's an anti-James Harden guy, and he said he'd rather have Ben Simmons than James Harden. He would take Ben Simmons starting a franchise over James Harden, and I sort of lost my cool because Ben Simmons is afraid to play the sport. James Harden might come up small. James Harden might have some deficiencies. One guy is afraid to play the sport. It's not even in the same discussion. But he said, why not Tyrese Halliburton? He's not a loser like James Harden. And my rebuttal was, Tyrese Halliburton hasn't won a damn thing. The knock on James Harden is he's one of the best to ever do it, so people claim, and he's never won. Yeah, he's lost in Game 7 of a big-time series against one of the most historic runs we've seen in the Golden State Warriors, and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson healthy. That's what you're going up against in the West when you're playing with the Houston Rockets, and you got Clint Capella. I'm just saying, remember some of his teams, and James Harden failing in Game 7 and all. That is, do you realize how much that is significantly better than anything Tyrese Halliburton has done in his career? The Pacers are about 4 games over 500. This obsession that Tyrese Halliburton is somehow, some way, this ultimate unreal piece that is by far, night and day, better than James Harden is laughable to me. He is a fun, exciting player. If he was that insane and that, whoa, wouldn't the Indiana Pacers be a tad bit above a couple games over 500? I'm just saying. And while James Harden is now with the Clippers, and the Clippers are doing what? Go look at where they stand in the Western Conference. And sure, they may fail and they might not have enough, and James Harden might come up small and this and that. But you're acting as if Tyrese Halliburton was even able to get to those spots in the playoffs, that it's a no-brainer lock. He gives you 45 and you go win a championship. It blows my mind. I get it. James Harden was a miss. To think it was wrong to try and go for that. They should have won Game 6. There was wide open looks everywhere all over the basketball floor. They missed. And it sucks, and it's painful, and it's not an easy pill to swallow. They missed. They should have won Game 6 at home. I don't like that James Harden wasn't able to get Joel the ball, but the team got consistent open looks down the stretch in Game 6. Game 7, my selling point here isn't James Harden is perfect. There's plenty of flaws with James, and sure, it was a swing and a miss, but I'm okay with that swing without seeing the results any day of the week. To act as if Tyrese Halliburton is some, like, I can't believe the level of pedestal we are putting Tyrese Halliburton on with hindsight. I don't know. I don't see it as much as everybody else sees it, and that's sort of my take on it. But I appreciate the call, and I appreciate the back and forth. I really do. Don't be a stranger. Keep it coming. All right? Keep it coming. Let's go to the next call.
What a great win for the Sixers tonight against a smoking hot Cleveland team. And I must say, this Buddy Hield acquisition, this guy is playing great. Kelly Oubre, 24. Tyrese drops 22 with 9 assists. And this team, I know, Doel went out and everyone counted him out. And I'm starting to see that this team has a little dog in them. They got some fight in them saying, no. We're not done, all right? We're damn good for a reason, all right? Now, my hope is that Joel can come back, but we'll talk about that another day because this was a really impressive, gritty win. I'm excited to see what Kyle Lowry will have to bring when he can come back. But for now, those two acquisitions, Payne and especially Hield, having a knockdown shooter like him is big. We haven't had a guy like that since J.J. Redick, man. A guy that catches it, he's open, puts it up, and it's a swish every fucking time. I love it, man. Go Sixers, baby. We'll see if them Flyers can get it done.
They do get it done. Obviously, that call, I guess, came in before the Fly Guys game ended there. Oh, the Flyers got it done. But, yeah, Buddy Hield is legit. Buddy Hield, you got to be active and on your toes nonstop and chasing him around the floor because he will make you pay, and he can go off for sure. Do they have their dog in them? I know that word dog's been thrown around a lot lately with the Sixers, and, guys are pouting their chest a little bit, bumping their chest out, showing off their Austin Powers chest hair a little bit with a couple buttons undone, maybe like your Nick Castellanos in the batter's box, and I like that. I like that better than the alternative, which is folding. I just don't know what this means yet. It's a great step in the right direction, but you have to complete the mission by winning against Miami, and then you have to do something with this after the All-Star break as well. It could just be a one-off. I've seen a lot of teams undermanned win a game because maybe the Cavs, one, just aren't mentally prepared because they don't think they're going to lose to this version of the Sixers, and they were wrong, or, they don't really know what to expect because these guys have never played together, so you don't really know what type of brand it's going to look like, and, whether it's an insane amount of board. They did attack the bigs. They were able to be active and lower the shoulder and go towards the glass a little bit there, which was nice as well. That was a good stretch for sure. You just don't know. So it's sort of like getting a bunch of shots fired at you, and you're looking around going, what are we doing? Where's this guy going? That guy, Paul Reed, active. Buddy Hield and Paul Reed. There's a little bit of some chemistry starting to get along there. In what world are the Cleveland Cavaliers ready for that type of sequence, right? It smacks you in the face and you realize it on the fly, and sometimes it could be too much. So I don't know how long you can survive in the NBA with this version of a roster is essentially my point. It's no knock on anybody who's out there. They're giving us their all right? They're competing, and there was almost a time where I thought, look, the Sixers were in control, but maybe, I don't know if it was because of a dumb foul or if it was because of a loose ball or if it was because of a rebound, that whatever the Sixers had, could the Cavs just do enough where they don't deserve to survive, but they do, and then they win by 3 or 4 points, and it was a great hard effort by the Sixers who deserved to win, but the Cavs just had a tad more firepower down the stretch or something along those lines. I wouldn't have been surprised. It's just hard in the NBA to live and die with this version of a roster. So I hope to God that they can do some things that maybe I don't see in the future here with this core. I would love to. I'm actively rooting for it. I'm obsessed with watching it. I want to see it. I've just seen a lot of teams play when they are big time injured and losing the MVP and bringing in new faces and trying to adapt on the fly, and it's a hard thing to do. That's all. It's a hard thing to do. We'll take another call here. I believe this is a call in regards to the trade deadline.
Rhodes. Oh, my gosh.
don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do without watching Furkan Korkmaz. Frickin' threes and getting his ankles taken on defense. I was so sad. I was sitting in class when I got the notification. I started sitting there in class, thinking about all the times Furkan Korkmaz, and I was like, goodbye, Fergie. It's been nice. Hope you find your paradise. Tried to see your point of view, but I can't 'cause you can't true. Goodbye, Fergie. Goodbye, Fergie. Goodbye, Fergie. Goodbye, Fergie.
I don't even know where to go from there. We're going to end on that note. I have nothing else to say. That was perfect. All right, everybody. Love you guys to death. Appreciate you. We'll be talking very soon. I'll see you on the next one.